Hey everyone, welcome to Autzen Stadium. I'm Tyson, Alger, joined by Alger and Greif. We're here after Oregon's 61-42 win over Eastern Washington. A pretty dominating win from Oregon, considering some defensive flaws from the Ducks. Andrew, you just filed your main story from the game. What was your main thoughts on this?
My main thoughts were trying to take the big picture approach, and I kind of wrote that first games were like first impressions. It's really hard to tell at first blush what is kind of a first game jitter. Maybe they're just not coming off well in the first game versus what's a deeper personality trait about this team. What is going to go on? We don't know right now, of course, but one thing they do want to keep going on is the offense, which looked like it was kind of Marcus Mariota incarnate in some words. He's gone, but Vernon Adams Jr. is in here, and he had almost 100 yards rushing, about 296, I want to say, yards passing. Looked very efficient, had some scares, almost did an interception, fumbled the ball, got hit late, went through some concussion protocol. He said he's fine for the Michigan State game, but really it was rolling, and I think a lot of that had to do with the success of the running backs as well.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Adams as well too, but the running backs, I think that between Taj Griffin, Royce Freeman, Tony Brooks-James, and Kanaib Benoit, those four rushed for nearly 400 yards today. Royce Freeman set a career high with 180 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns. He just looked dominant. He kind of picked up where he left off last season. But that wasn't really any question kind of coming into this. It was more kind of who was going to be replacing Thomas Tyner. And Kanaib Benoit got the bulk of those carries. He rushed for, I believe, 83 yards and a score. Tony Brooks-James rushed for 60-some yards and 2 touchdowns. And Taj Griffin, who was silent the first 3 quarters, took his 3rd career carry and went 60 yards with it, kind of really jolting a little bit of electricity into a pretty dormant crowd in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, the Ducks had 8.5 yards per rush tonight, 485 yards rushing total. That's huge. That's big because as much as they want to throw the ball and as strong as Adams' arm is, they're going to have to run to survive.
There definitely were some concerns tonight, though. Eastern is a team that has a pretty prolific offense in the FCS, but Oregon's secondary just didn't quite look up to speed tonight.
Yeah, and John Neal, the secondary coach, said maybe it's a good thing we got exposed tonight. I don't know that you ever want to be exposed, especially against an FCS offense who have 2 new quarterbacks. Vernon Adams is gone. Their starter got hurt with looked like a leg injury, and then the next guy came in and threw some touchdowns. So that's the big key, because that's what Michigan State's going to go after next week. They have their own offensive problems. They're not perfect with the receivers, but they have a really good quarterback.
You got to think Connor Cook is kind of licking his chops watching this tape.
Absolutely. But very good things. This is a good thing about Oregon. You can quibble about they scored 61 points. More or less played with the way that we've kind of seen them early on in other defensive seasons. They got turnovers. They bent but didn't break. This all seems like the recipe in some ways of a classic Oregon team.
I think kind of one of the biggest takeaways you can go from this is Stanford, a pretty hyped team, couldn't score a touchdown today. Oregon scored, on each of their first 5 drives. Oregon's offense is as billed, and it's just going to be interesting to see how it goes next week against Michigan State.